What were your thoughts on the food log before you began, and did your thoughts change at all? And what have you noticed since doing the food log?
Food log really made me reflect on like what I was putting into my body, and then correlating that to my mood.
How have you noticed your mood being affected by your company, and has it agreed with the research that you found?
Yeah, a lot of the research that I found was suggesting that if you're around like a warm ambiance, whether that's like the setting and like the seat and the plating and the lighting of the place they're eating in, is gonna make you perceive your meal as better because you're physically comfortable.
You noticed through the food log any foods in particular that tend to give you more energy or deplete your energy?
I'm low in iron, so when I eat foods that are like vitamin C rich, that helps like suppress that or like combat that. And then when I have like a balanced meal that's like traditional, like with your side of greens and then your meat, because a lot of meat can help me with my low iron. So I do feel that like nutrients and that boost of like I can go out and do an activity now after I ate in a traditional healthy meal.
How long were you keto for?
Almost 2 months.
And why did you go keto in the first place? Like, what were your goals?
I was trying to lose weight, and I did like had done a lot of research and stuff, and I saw a lot of people saying that if you go on keto, you lose a lot of weight really fast.
What were your observations while you were on keto? Like, how did you feel physiologically?
I felt terrible. I was always really hungry. I remember like constantly, because on keto you can eat unlimited fat, limited but not really protein, and very little carbs. So I wasn't able to eat things like fruit or some vegetables. I was really irritable. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I felt like the weight I was losing wasn't worth the way I was feeling, essentially. And so I stopped. I gained all the way back and like more, and then I lost it all again just naturally by eating healthy. So now I feel great, and I
What are some of the reasons that you think that proper nutrition is so important?
Well, I think it does protect us from a lot of diseases. When you eat well, you have all the nutrients your body needs to fight off infection and to stay healthy. It can't prevent you from everything because you can get things to your body, through colds or flus. But if you have the nutrients in your body to fight it off, then it's going to help protect you.
How are some ways that nutrition and diet can really affect your mood?
Yeah, so this is a tricky area to research because it's always hard to evaluate people's mood. Mood is pretty subjective, but there is definitely a correlation between not eating enough food and nutrients and depression. So there's not a lot of evidence that certain foods totally boost your mood, which I know sometimes articles will like to tell you that, but it's more of not having what you need. If you don't have what you need, you feel tired, you feel run down, you don't feel your best. And if you don't feel your best, then you become depressed, right? Because usually when people don't feel their best, they can't go out and exercise, or they don't socialize as much with their friends. And so it's more that it not having enough nutrients depresses your mood more than makes you feel better.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the common barriers that you find people face to eating healthily? And what are some methods that you've seen help people in overcoming obstacles?
And I think I'll focus on there's so many different aspects or ways I could answer that question, but I'll focus on college students, since you're college students.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it is not having the skills to prepare food at home and wanting to eat out a lot. And whenever you eat out, you're eating things that are more expensive than if you just prepared them yourself. So I think a big barrier is that desire to want to cook at home, or having the space to cook at home, or the ability to shop on a routine basis. All of those things people kind of give up and start eating fast food or out a lot instead of taking care of themselves. And I think perception of what it takes to eat healthy is often not accurate. People think it's always expensive, but apples are pretty cheap.
So could you give us like a little bit of a breakdown of what a healthy diet would consist of in terms of like roughly for the average person?
I'm sure you've seen my plate, which is an icon that the government has come out with. Not that I think that that plate is the best tool around, but it does actually provide a good basis of if you eat from all of those food groups, you will get a variety of nutrients in your diet, and it will protect you not just from getting a lack of major nutrients like carbohydrates or fat or protein, but also the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals.
Yeah. There's some, I feel like, misinformation about how sugar affects the body, like whether it is something that causes you to crash or whether it's an upper. So could you kind of give like a little bit of a clarification on like which one it is?
Yeah, everybody asks that question. It's actually neither, really, because our body will take nutrients and either use them or store them. But eating a nutrient doesn't mean that you're automatically going to use that if you decide to sit down after you eat that food. Using it means that your body is you're moving your body, and so you need it for energy. So it's kind of interesting because people will say, yeah, candy makes you hyper. It doesn't. You could eat candy or sugar all day long, but you don't start to feel energy because of that. If you were lacking energy, you might feel some because you'd have the nutrients for your body to be able to do work. But if you still don't go out and use that, then it's not as helpful. And in terms of the crash, that would only be if your blood sugar went way up and way down. And our body actually has mechanisms to alter how much sugar is in our blood at one time. So we don't necessarily crash, but I would say if you eat a lot of candy, like Halloween is a great example, we just had Halloween, you eat a lot of candy, there's not a lot of other nutrients in that food, right? So you're lacking vitamins and minerals, and our body has to do something with that energy right away. So it either uses it or stores it. And when it gets stored, you might feel like a crash. You still have that energy in your body, but it's harder to utilize it. So I think people should generally try to stay away from added sugars, but continue to eat them naturally in foods.
Yeah, so that actually kind of leads me a little bit into my next question, which was also about sugar. Are there any like healthy substitutes for sugar? Just because there's like so many out there, I feel like now. So
yeah, I'd say no. There's not a lot of healthy sugar alternatives. I don't think they're as awful as some of the websites make them out to be. Like they're gonna cause brain damage and all this kind of stuff. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but whenever you put something into your body, especially in your GI tract, that it doesn't know what to do with, generally it excretes that. So if it stays in your GI tract for too long, it can disrupt the microbes that live there, particularly in your colon. And I actually think that's the biggest barrier to sugar-free foods or any kind of alternative sweetener, is that it's not helping us. So why are we putting something in us that's not helping us and maybe possibly causing harm? Mm-hmm. So I instead try to tell students that want to cut back on sugar is to not replace sugar with anything else, but really just gradually remove added sugar from your diet entirely.
Yeah, awesome. And another question that we had out of curiosity as a group, so we've heard that juicing foods, using like juicing processors, is known to take out some of the nutrients from food. And we were curious if blending food into smoothies, that was like a popular kind of health fad, if that does like the same negative effects to the food as juicing does. Does it also strip the nutrients?
It does somewhat, because anytime you expose micronutrients, particularly vitamins, to heat, light, and oxygen, they can degrade over time. So it will have fewer than if you're eating an apple. The skin's on the apple, you eat the apple, you kind of get the vitamin all at once. It's not broken down and chopped up. So anytime we chop up our food, we do lose some nutrients. And I know, but I'm not saying that you should be eating whole big chunks of food. But when you're blending it, you're certainly exposing it to more heat, light, and oxygen. So you'd want to make sure you consumed it right away. So juicing usually takes out the fiber, and when you take out the fiber, you also remove some micronutrients. So I guess blending your food is a little better than just having it juiced, but both of those things actually provide a high concentration of calories in a small volume, which could lead to weight gain, because most of us don't need to eat that many calories at once unless you're going to do something with those calories. So if you're drinking a blended meal or a shake and then you're gonna run or do some exercise, that's probably fine. But if you're just having that and not doing it, those things don't fill you up the way food does.
Right here, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's very hot. It's very warm. Oh, this is missing Liz.
Okay, everyone, look at the pictures. Everyone smile. Very good. Okay, good. How was that eating together?
I think that we really enjoyed each other's company.
But the overall experience, I also give it like a 9.5 out of 10 because of the company it made. It really made it.
Communicating with like old classmates, old teachers, and then obviously with Miriam and Sophie, it makes it really fun with the environment. What I eat in a day: this morning I am drinking a spinach smoothie like I do most mornings. A little sesame oil. This is my dinner. I have asparagus and protein spaghetti with ground turkey and marinara sauce and some garlic bread.
I have my morning tea and my... The second thing I've eaten today, and I went to Whole Foods and I grabbed some mac and cheese and cauliflower and some soup, and I'm feeling pretty energized. I was pretty tired a little bit ago, but now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm with a bunch of people too, so that's helping. And yeah.
Experience. Not saying he's a good person, saying that it was positive energy in the room. Yeah, Olivia Wilde was there as well.
This is my dinner tonight. I'm having a sandwich and it has prosciutto, Dijon mustard, mozzarella, banana peppers, and diced tomatoes. That is what I'm having for dinner tonight.
It's about lunchtime, so a little update from breakfast. I feel good. I've had a good amount of energy today, and I've been in a pretty good mood so far. So just, yeah, I guess for lunch what I'm having is leftover Chinese food from last night because I don't feel like cooking. And yeah, so I'm just having like leftover fried rice from earlier because that's all that I had left over. And then I made this salad that's literally just some vegetables that I had left over. I usually like to have like some sort of vegetable or like fiber something in every meal, or I try to. Just at least every day, not necessarily every meal, sorry, but just at least every day. Just because that's something that I personally find that I really struggle with if I don't get enough fiber.
So my big takeaway from this project this semester was really implementing the mindfulness into my lifestyle with the food log. I think that sometimes I really just eat to fill myself up, but when you're actually writing things down, whether that's on paper or in your notes app, it really makes you like sit and reflect on what you actually ate. Because a lot of the times we eat and then after we're done with the meal we move on and don't really give it much second thought. But the second thought is what our project is about, implementing that mindfulness and really taking a look at what you're eating. And I had never really done that before, so this project really improved my lifestyle in that aspect.
What I learned is that food affects every single aspect of my life, and especially my mood. I realized that because I was so busy when I was not eating, I was a lot more sluggish, a lot more tired, just exhausted overall, brain foggy. But when I planned my meals out and when I had something to eat, even if it was just something small, my energy was a lot better, I was a lot less crabby, and I overall felt a lot better.
So one of the big things that I noticed from doing the food log this semester and just throughout is I don't really pay attention, I think, to what I'm eating throughout the day, and having the food log is, it's like a tangible view of what you've eaten. And one thing that I found is that if I don't pay attention, I don't really eat vegetables. And I've found particularly one thing for me is fiber. If I don't get enough fiber, that causes a lot of like physiological problems that then affect my mood. So yeah, that's been like a big thing that's really helped me this semester with the food log, is like paying attention to things like that. Particularly for me, it's fiber, but for someone else, it could be any number of things. So yeah, I think for that reason, the food log particularly, and just the whole concept of this project of paying attention to what you're eating, why that's so beneficial.
I was able to really reflect on what I consumed every day by logging my food. It really helped me to consider drinking green smoothies because they were fast and quick, but a really great source of getting my nutrients and protein in. And we learned a lot about that with Professor Rothenberg to see how that actually affects your body. And so I found really great ways to consume food in a quick and easy way with a busy student schedule.